Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Inland Empire Coaches Sports Talk. Today, I am here with Coach Estevan from Redlands High School. Coach, glad to be here.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, give the viewers at home a little bit of background on you and how you kind of came to Redlands.
Well, I just finished my 15th season at Redlands High School. Before I came over to Redlands High School, I was an assistant coach at UC Riverside under Jack Smitherin and then Doug Smith for 5 seasons. During that time at UC Riverside, I also managed the Palm Springs Power Summer Collegiate team for 4 summers, and I also managed in the Northwoods League the Lacrosse Loggers for 2 summers. Another collegiate summer league team as well. And so been doing this for a while, and now I've been here at Redlands High School, like I said, 15 years. I teach world and U.S. history, and I've been teaching for just finished my 24th year.
So, obviously, we had Casey Dill from the Palm Springs Power a little bit earlier. Talk to the parents, like obviously having social distancing right now, sitting at home. What with baseball shut down right now, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the different summer leagues. What would you recommend kids do at home right now in order to get ready for next season?
Well, what I would recommend kids to do is try to work out as much as they can, whether it be, if they have weights, to do some kind of weight training at home. There's always, obviously, you can run, you can do some agility drills, you can do shuttle runs, you can go for long runs, you can, do sprints and back pedals. It's basically stuff that I'm doing, and my kids who are high school age as well that are doing here at home. If you have access to a tee, if you're lucky enough to have a batting cage in your backyard. I don't have a batting cage in my backyard, but I'm, fortunate to have one at the high school. So we're able to sneak over there whenever we get a chance, or we just go to the local park. And there's not very many people at the park, and we're soft tossing and doing some kind of front toss drill. So, I think for the kids, it's big to be active. Not only is it, just to keep your skill level going, but also just to keep your mind in the right place as well too. Sitting in your room playing video games or just sitting in the house all day, I think is, not real good for the mental or physical side of things. And then, take a tennis ball. I remember when we were kids, we used to take a tennis ball in our glove and we'd throw it up against a fence or a wall or the garage door. And we would just do that for an hour or so, just taking ground balls without having to have somebody do that for you. So there's obviously you've got to get a little creative.
Now, obviously, you're talking about keeping the right mindset. Um, Talk to us a lot about some of the culture and hope. You and I were talking off air a minute ago about one of the things you just did for your seniors this week. Can you tell people a little bit about that?
Yeah, like everybody else, we're really disappointed in the whole thing that happened. And, it was pretty personal for me because my son was a senior in high school on the baseball team, and for us to lose our season. And, I understand that there are bigger and more important things to deal with than baseball right now. But, you're still dealing with kids, and that senior year is a really important year for them. And so what we did was we went out and we turned our scoreboard on. Yesterday would have been our Wednesday would have been our last game of the season. And so I had said, for the last 6 or 7 weeks that we've been off, I kept thinking, how am I going to honor these guys? We normally do a normal senior day like most teams. And so what I decided to do was go out there and turn the scoreboard on. And then I also said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to line and chalk my field like if it was a normal game day. So I put the bases out, I chalked our field. Got um, ice cream man coming right now, so I don't know if you can hear him in the background.
Yeah, a little bit.
And that's all right. And so we did our field like it was a normal day, and I took off and I left it open from 4 to 7. And we had some great parents. One of the parents dropped off some balloons and put them up on the backstop, or actually the bleachers. And it was a great day to honor our seniors. And so, even though we couldn't have them on the field and things like that, but just to show that we cared about them and we were still thinking about them.
Yeah, especially baseball. You and I have been around it for so long, and the length of the season and the grinding and the long, hot days, just that little bit of hope, I think, speaks volumes to you as a coach and also the culture that you're trying to bring.
Sure, it was it's funny you say that, the grind of the season. my wife and I were talking last night. Obviously it was a pretty emotional day yesterday, and she said, I'm sad because our son didn't get to finish his senior year, and I said, I think most of the kids have, come to realize that there's more important things going on. But that grind that you talk about, I told my wife, I said, I'll tell you what, for this time of year, I feel great. My body's in shape. I'm not beat up. I haven't lost any weight, and I've slept pretty good. Normally this time of year, I've lost about 7, 8 pounds, and I haven't slept in weeks. And it's that grind of the season. But I miss it. I'll tell you, I do miss that. I miss the competition, and I miss the grind of the season.
Now, also talk to the folks at home about a little bit of the success to toot your own horn for Redlands. Obviously, you have some people like Jake that are big league ready, that are knocking on the doorstep. Talk about how you develop in your way of developing players.
For us at Redlands High School, we kind of are in the shadows of Ukaipa up the hill and Redlands East Valley, not too far down the street. And those two are really good, solid baseball programs. But we've done a really good job of developing kids. We've taken kids who probably may not make other people's teams in the Inland Empire, and we've turned them into solid baseball players. We've turned them into good baseball players. My coaching staff and I have been together for 15 years, from the freshman guy all the way up to the varsity staff. At Redlands High School, most of the guys that coach for me, I would say a 9 out of the 10 have played at Redlands High School or played for me. And so they've done a good job, and we've had some kids who love playing baseball, and we've done a really good job of developing kids. Jacob Nottingham, obviously, was drafted not too long ago, and he's, sitting there on the doorstep of being in the big leagues here in the next year or two. We've had some great kids, so Marcus Zofrey and Justin Schubert and Zuko Tillman, and these guys that are, right in the middle of their careers right now. And then we have a couple of kids in the graduating class of 2020 that are moving on. Zach Chonkich, who's going to Pepperdine. We've got a couple of kids, Adam Valencia and PJ Ledesma, that are heading over to RCC, that are, kind of late bloomer guys. But these are guys, if you saw them as freshmen coming in, you wouldn't have realized, how much they had developed. You would have never guessed it. When Jacob Nottingham showed up, he was like 5'4", and he looked like 160 pounds of chewed up bubble gum, and he grew, and his brothers were that way. And a lot of our kids are that way too. But, I like to think that we do more with less than what people do more, that type of mentality. We've always been solid. We've always been, a team that competes well and hard. And, we may not have always been the most talented group, but our kids know how to play baseball.
Now, obviously, you have had a lot of success throughout your high school career. Is there one thing that you tip your hat to, like, I did that, or my team did that?
No, I've never been that type of person. No, I think that, when I was talking to the seniors yesterday at Redlands High School, the big thing that I always stress is that you leave it better than you found it. And when I got to Redlands High School 15 years ago, it was a great place, and the facility was pretty good. And, I'd like to think that we left it better than we found it. But I'm the benefactor of a lot of good kids and parents and administrators and other coaches that have worked with me. So no, it's not me that's done anything. It's just, like I said, I'm the benefactor of a lot of great people around. And so, I've been lucky to be the keeper of our baseball program. That's what I call it. It's not my baseball program. I'm the keeper of this baseball program. And you think of all of the kids and coaches that have come through, and parents. And so it's my job to continue to honor that program.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I've always loved about living in Redlands and being around and just down the street is always that there's this old school family mentality that we bring each other up. It takes a village to truly make everything go. And that's one of the things I've always appreciated about you and your program, and the way that we've kind of worked together over the years, even though we don't always see eye to eye, but
Sure.
we've had some fun on the field.
Absolutely. And that's what it is. It's, you said it takes a village, and, like I said, I've been the benefactor of having a good coaching staff that's been with me for 15 years. And, and when I say what I'm about to say, I mean it with all sincerity. Is there's not one guy on that coaches with us that I would trust to take care of my own children. They've helped raise my own children as well. I've got, a 20-year-old and a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old, and they've all been on that baseball field and around the weight room and in that school. And on my coaching staff, there's not one guy that I would trust to take in my own children and raise them right. And so that's part of the whole family. That's part of being the benefactor of being around some good people.
Absolutely. Now, what are you doing to kind of ramp up for next season or for this summer, since we have a lot of unknown going on right now?
Honestly, I've been kind of focusing more on myself and my family. I'm getting emails and text messages from coaches saying, "Hey, let's schedule some fall games. Let's get our 2021 schedule going." I'm about to finish my master's in education here. Actually, today I'm going to turn in my final project and I'll be done. So I told myself that as soon as I get that done, then I'll start focusing on 2021 and the fall schedule, things like that. Obviously, I've gotten an opportunity to sneak around and go mow my baseball field to keep it, pristine and in playing shape, things like that. But I've been, this opportunity, unfortunately, that with the whole coronavirus and people, out of work or staying home, to me, in a way, is kind of a blessing in disguise, because it's allowed us to have more time with our families, more time for ourselves. We live in a world that's been pretty much a rat race, as you know. Everybody's rushing here and there, and so I think this is kind of somebody telling us that we need to slow down. So, but here in the next week or two, I'll start focusing on next season.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your time. The one last question that I've asked every single coach is, if you could tell your students and the sports fans around the world one thing right now, what would it be?
I miss them. I miss the kids. We always joke around as teachers and coaches, and we go, "Yeah, I need a break," or "I need a vacation," and that stuff. And you know what? I miss my students. I miss my kids. I miss my baseball players. I miss my friends. I miss the coaching staff. The one thing that I would say is I miss everybody, even the guys I got to coach to. I even miss, Coach Grajeda at Yucaipa.
Now you're on the record for that one.
Yep.
Well, appreciate the time and thank you so much. Again, this has been Inland Empire Coaches Sports Talk, brought to you by BSN Sports. Thank you and God bless.
Thanks, Mike.